Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Pundit says a £27 million Arsenal player could barely keep his balance last night. Rob Holding has come in for plenty of criticism in recent weeks, but this time around, it's Gabriel Magalhaes who is receiving the most flak. Indeed, speaking on off the ball, David Meyler has been critical of Arsenal's £27 million defender, stating that he was at sixes and sevens during the game, claiming that he could barely keep his balance at times. Meyler gave his verdict on the Arsenal defender. He said, "The way Arsenal tried to press, they pushed high. We know how good Ederson is with the ball, and he clipped this ball into Haaland, and he rolled Holding. That's where De Bruyne's goal came from too. Gabriel was at sixes and sevens. He was almost tripping over his own feet. Time after time this happened, and when Arsenal tried to put pressure on, they just played that long ball to De Bruyne or Haaland. Gabriel really couldn't deal with the threats posed by Haaland and De Bruyne on Wednesday, but in all honesty, it's hard to blame him. The Manchester City stars are two of the best in the business, and when they are in their groove, even the best defenders in the world can't deal with them. Gabriel couldn't keep up with the City attack, and while he should have done a better job, he was handed an almost impossible task here. Dixon says one Arsenal player lost the plot against Manchester City. Dixon felt that Thomas Partey lost the plot during Arsenal's defeat to Manchester City on Wednesday, claiming that the midfielder simply could not work out how to deal with the home side. The Arsenal legend was speaking to NBC Sport after the Gunners were dismantled in the Premier League title showdown at the Etihad Stadium. It was a miserable occasion for Mikel Arteta's side, and one of the most disappointing displays came from Thomas Partey in the middle of the park. The Ghanaian was completely unable to cope with the runs of Kevin De Bruyne, with the Belgian breaking the deadlock after a super piece of play involving Erling Haaland. It has generally been accepted that Arsenal are a much better side when Partey is available. He tends to give the team real balance, providing their attacking players with the freedom to do their thing further forward. But there was no question that the 29-year-old looked out of his depth against the champions. Certainly, Dixon felt that the former Atletico Madrid man was nowhere near his best in the contest. He said, "They also had a midfield player, an experienced midfielder player who couldn't work it out. Partey, he needed help. He needed somebody to go. And if you are an experienced midfielder player, you should be able to work out certain things. But you are playing one of the world's best team, so it's very difficult. I don't want to be too critical of him, but he lost the plot. He wasn't picking up. He was getting runners running off him. You might say he needed help, and possibly you might say that it's Arteta's territory to say, right, Saka just go really tight and just plug those holes and get City to play in front of you. They were just playing on the back of Partey the whole of that first half. Partey was far from being the only Arsenal player to struggle against the citizens, but there is no question that the ease with which Manchester City broke through the middle of the park was a key reason they completely demolished the Gunners' title dreams, and his frustration got the better of him in the second half. He was booked following a clash with Jack Grealish, and he was perhaps fortunate to not be sent off. It was a surprise to see Partey so far off the pace on Wednesday, and the result has left Arsenal needing snookers if they are going to win the title. TalkSPORT Pundit lips into Arsenal star Rob Holding's defense after a problem claim. Arsenal star Rob Holding has come under more criticism following his side's defeat to Manchester City at the Etihad last night. The Englishman has become a regular in the Premier League since William Saliba suffered a back injury. Arsenal haven't quite been the same since, and they have picked up just 3 points in their last 4 games. Holding has come under immense criticism recently, but TalkSPORT pundit Jason Cundy jumped in his defense after Arsenal's defeat at the Etihad last night. Rob Holding was partly at fault for Manchester City's first goal against Arsenal last night. Erling Haaland dragged the Englishman towards him and held him off easily. He turned and fed Kevin De Bruyne through, who smashed the ball into the back of the net. On TalkSPORT after the game, when a caller and Jamie O'Hara criticized Holding, Candy hit back. He defended the Englishman even after his co-host branded him as a massive problem. Here is how the conversation went after Holding was criticized. Candy, no, 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 no. To blame one person. What's happened to Partey? What's happened to Saka? Yes, point that finger, but make sure you point it in another direction. I don't doubt that the Saliba miss is huge. I buy that. O'Hara, it changes the way they play, changes the confidence in the side, changes the belief in the side. Candy. So is it Holding's fault that Ramsdale gives the ball away against Southampton in the first minute? Is it Holding's fault that Rice dispossessed at the edge of the box at West Ham and Gabriel goes in and does a rugby tackle? Is his fault? No, there is more to this. O'Hara, of course, but he is a massive problem as to why they have not been playing well recently. It's a huge loss, Candy. Huge loss, but it's not Rob Holding's fault. Rob Holding has made mistakes for Arsenal recently, but it's unfair to put all the blame on him, considering that he was thrown into the deep end after barely playing in the league all season. Holding managed to score last night, and fans will be hoping that will give him some confidence when the Gunners face Chelsea next. Pep Guardiola shares the plan he made to stop Arsenal's Bukayo Saka last night. Arsenal suffered a 4-1 defeat against Manchester City last night, and Pep Guardiola has revealed how he stopped Bukayo Saka from having a good game. The Gunners were schooled by the defending Premier League champions. They were no match for City's quality on the pitch last night and deserved to take nothing from the game. Saka, who is usually Arsenal's biggest threat, was totally controlled on the right flank. Arsenal received a small boost ahead of the game against Manchester City last night when it was confirmed that Nathan Ake was ruled out due to an injury. Many felt that would act in Bukayo Saka's favour, as the Dutchman was the one who stopped the Arsenal number 7 from having a good game last time out. Guardiola had a decision to make. He could have gone with Laporte or Sergio Gomez or even Rico Lewis there, but the Manchester City boss chose Akanji at left back instead in order to stop Saka, who he describes as an incredible threat. He said in a press conference last night, as relied on Reuters TV, I had a lot of doubt in that position because I missed our best player in the build-up, Nathan Ake. But after seeing Manuel Akanji against Bayern München, against Coman, Leroy Sané, and Musiala and the other ones, and how he won those duels 1 versus 1 was amazing. I thought against Saka and Martinelli, it was so important for Kyle and him to win the connection, the runners, and be so aggressive with them. I thought Manuel can do it because he is so intelligent, so clever, he controlled really well one of the incredible threats all season that Saka is. Saka was totally controlled last night, even when the Englishman had the opportunity to go 1 versus 1 against Akanji. City doubled up on him, with Rodri coming in to help out or Jackie Grealish dropping back. The same happened on the left side as well. Gabriel Martinelli could not play his usual game against Kyle Walker, and that is the reason why Arsenal couldn't do anything significant in the offensive transition last night. Manchester City star John Stones shares what he thought about Arsenal's defending last night. John Stones has praised Arsenal for making it very difficult for Manchester City to pick up a win at the Etihad Stadium last night. City put in an emphatic performance against Mikel Arteta's side on Wednesday as they picked up a 4-1 win. Arsenal just weren't at the races for what was arguably their biggest game of the season to date. Despite the fact that City created plenty of chances on the night, Stones told BT Sport that he was impressed with Arsenal's pressing. Speaking after the game, Stones admitted that City couldn't play their usual game due to Arsenal's relentless energy of the ball. He said, We have to give them a lot of respect and credit. We didn't play the football we normally do. From both sides, we had man to man pressure, and it was very difficult to play our usual passes. Arsenal certainly can't be faulted in terms of their efforts off the ball last night as they attempted to press City high up the pitch, but City found a way through their press by playing into Erling Haaland, who ensured that both Rob Holding and Gabriel Magalhaes endured a torrid evening. Of course, Arteta will be bitterly disappointed with last night's result and particularly the performance. The Gunners have managed to pick up just 3 points from their last 4 games, and City are firmly in the driving seat in the title race. Arsenal trust a 23-year-old possible loan transfer to be discussed soon. Arsenal trust the potential of young midfielder Albert Sambi Lokonga, even after an unconvincing spell on loan at Crystal Palace this season. The 23-year-old struggled for playing time in Mikel Arteta's side before being loaned out to Palace in January, and he is not yet managed to establish himself as a regular at Selhurst Park either. Still, writing in his exclusive Count Offside column, Fabrizio Romano made it clear that Arsenal still rate Lokonga and could discuss sending him out on loan again in the summer. It certainly seems like Lokonga has the potential to improve after a difficult start to life in English football, and it might be that he'd benefit from another loan spell to give him the confidence and experience required to make the most of his natural talent. Lokonga is probably not ready to play for Arsenal just yet, but it's interesting that Arteta and co don't seem to have given up on him just yet. Romano has said, "It's not been an easy loan spell at Crystal Palace for Albert Sambi Lokonga. Still, Arsenal trust his skills and his potential, but they want him to play. He needs to play. It's possible they will discuss one more loan season, but this is something they will clarify with the player and agent in June and not now." Arsenal is still tracking Rasmus Haaland. The latest news from 90 Minute reports that Arsenal are still interested in pursuing Atalanta striker Rasmus Haaland. Arsenal, along with Manchester United and Chelsea, retain an interest in Haaland. Meanwhile, Newcastle have emerged as a new club interested in the forward. The interest around Haaland has not just started, it has been around for months and we expect it to continue through until the summer. If he continues to attract this interest, there is no doubt that there will be a big transfer war in the summer between some of Europe's most prestigious clubs. Arsenal have a great forward in Gabriel Jesus, and he is great at linking up play, but they perhaps want a forward who is more of a target man like Haaland, the extraordinary striker who compares himself with Erling Haaland, is 6 feet and 2 inches. He is only 20 years old, but he has already managed 8 goals in Serie A this season. With Haaland already having a good eye for goal, it's exciting to picture him in an exciting young Arsenal squad filled with young stars like Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Jesus. The club will be back playing in the Champions League as well as the Premier League, and they need good squad depth to make sure they can be competitive in all competitions. We have seen the Gunners struggle to keep up their good form. This has seen them draw their last 3 matches, and now they could lose out on the title to Manchester City. A prolific forward with bags of potential like Haaland would be an ideal signing for Arsenal to bolster their squad for the present and future. Arsenal have shown interest in rivaling Liverpool for midfielder transfer. Arsenal have reportedly been among the clubs to show an interest in the potential transfer of Bayern München midfielder Ryan Gravenberch, according to Fabrizio Romano, speaking on his YouTube channel and quoted in his daily briefing for Count Offside Substack. Liverpool remain one of the most interested clubs and recently held talks with the Gravenberch representatives. However, there is also interest from Arsenal, who were one of the clubs being kept informed on the Netherlands international situation in January. It's clear that Gravenberch wants to play more often next season, which looks like a potential problem for Bayern, who would supposedly prefer to keep him. Arsenal look set to miss out on the Premier League title this season, despite an impressive challenge to Manchester City, and I will surely be keen to strengthen their squad in the summer in order to cope with the demands of Champions League football and to help them do better in next year's title race. Romano said, there is a lot of interest in Ryan Gravenberch. He is not playing for Bayern and he has confirmed he is not satisfied at all. He wants more minutes and he says that next season it has to change. There will be a meeting soon between Bayern and Gravenberch, but from the club's perspective, they want to keep him and have no intention to negotiate for him to leave. There has been interest from the Premier League since January. Liverpool, Man United, and Arsenal were all informed on his situation, but it was not possible to proceed because of Bayern's stance. Liverpool especially remains interested and had a direct conversation with his agent a few days ago, so they are waiting to see if the situation could change. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.